discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/BGUnlocked. The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brad and I are doing our top 100 games of all time for 2019. We have been doing this for 3 years now. This will be the third year that we have done this, so it's gonna be exciting. I'm very much excited to go over this, even though. Was your list depressing? Like, cause I color code mine.
Yes, I color code mine
so,
too.
like my orange is it's the exact same spot. Green is it moved up. Yellow it's a new game, and then red it moved down. There's a lot of red on mine.
I have a lot of red, and I guess I should say I did something different this year. I used a ranking system, online ranking system from Pub Meeple, which is something that people have been using on other podcasts and stuff, and stuff like that. So I tried it, and you had a lot of
mine was
matches.
like 700 like options, because I didn't include everything, and because I did the same thing. And whenever I was doing it, one, I realized that I didn't have some games. Like, I ranked the games on my Board Game Week, but I didn't click to own them, so I missed some. And personally, for me, I felt like... Okay, so you can keep going. Sorry.
No. I just was saying, at the end, when it made my final list, because I knew there was a couple I'd missed as well, because, I just imported that list into a Google Sheet and everything, and went through that, and then kind of added my stuff. But then I compared it to the time before, and it was legit. I mean, I looked at theirs, because there was someone that dropped a lot, someone that gained a lot, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, after looking, I did a little more research on it and stuff.
Because I did the Pub Meeple thing as well, it took some time. And then I was like, you know what, just for fun, I'll do my index card system, just to compare, hey, where did I rank certain games versus where did they rank it? And at the end of the day, I felt that my index card system was more accurate. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, because the past 2 years, I did the index card system, so it felt unfair to do an algorithm.
Right.
And then compare it to, like, a different other system. And with Pub Meeple, for me, you compared two games almost in a bubble.
Right.
Like, so whenever you're looking at them, it's just like, it's, okay, well, you have Vindication versus Elder Tour, whatever. And it's like, yeah, from those two, I like this game better.
Right.
But the way I do my index card system is I'm like, okay, here's Vindication versus Blood Rage. And I haven't played Vindication, so this is just a complete example. But it's like, versus Blood Rage. Okay, I don't like it as much as that. Boom, Elder Tour. Okay. No, and I go down the list. So I compare the one game to every other game until I find one that I like. So I feel like instead of 1 versus 1, it's 1 versus a bunch.
Well, and that's kind of how my Pub Meeple experience was, is because, like, if I picked, let's say, we'll use your Blood Rage Vindication deal. Like, if I clicked Vindication, it would keep doing the Vindication until I clicked one that I didn't, and then it would kind of bring it over. So I could tell when I was getting close to what was getting up there, because it would start running you through those 10 games again until you did. So, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I double checked this list, the last list. There wasn't any outliers, because anything that changed a lot, I looked, and it made sense. So that's why I went ahead and did it that way.
And I would probably say for 30-40% of the Pub Meeple thing, we're really close to where the previous year's was, and to where, because I compared the Pub Meeple to what I did, and they were relatively close. It got my top 10 almost. Like, almost perfectly. It was towards the second half of the list where it was just like all over the place. So who knows? It's definitely less time consuming, and just because the left right. Okay, yeah.
So many matchups.
So, but it's still really neat, because I still did the index card system because I like having it in front of me and being like, okay. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to talk about how you did Pub Meeple versus versus my system. And I might go the Pub Meeple route in the future. Like, I liked it, and it wasn't like I was sitting there like, no, it has like
right.
some shitty game at number one.
It doesn't end the deal. Like when you import that list, I added the ones I missed. You know, I was like, if there was a huge outlier, like if for some reason I had 5 tribes was like 30, I'm like, you know, so I'd have to like, you know, but none of that happened. It was just.
And with how much I've been doing, I know we're talking a lot. I'm not getting to the list, but with how much I've been doing, you know, for my actual job, and then for the rest of the channel, like what I wanted to do, I wanted to do the Pub Meeple thing twice, and then be like, okay, then compare both of those lists and be like, all right, that's more. I didn't have the time to do that, so next year I probably will. So let's go ahead and. I guess, according to my list, I have Middle Earth Quest as my least favorite. I just haven't played it at all. Yeah. That's not even. That's like one.
The least favorite.
Like I have all the way for one. That's like 150.
Okay, see, I went clear to 200 on mine, but
I omitted games. Like that I still own, but I was like, there's no way it's getting up in there. Yeah. So all the ones that I have on my printout and on the index cards I wrote were contenders. Because I could have gone to 200 as well, but I was like, if it's coming to there's no way.
Yeah.
So let's get started, shall we? With a honorable mention at 101. You want me to get started?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So my honorable mention, the game that just missed out on being in the top 100. Once again, another caveat. Sorry. Whenever we start saying games that are dropping or rising or aren't even on the list, that doesn't mean that they're bad, and that doesn't mean we don't like them. It just means that there's a variety of reasons why. Like you have, I don't know if you've reduced your collection at all. Like yours is probably still around the 300-400 mark. Mine is maybe about half that because I cycle through my games a lot.
Right.
I try to keep it condensed, but I have around 200 games, and it's like there's a bunch of reasons. But anyway. Well,
and like you were just saying, it could be lack of playtime. It could be new games, just in general. There's all kinds of stuff.
So, without further ado, my honorable mention is new to the list. Technically, it's an honorable mention. I'm surprised I actually didn't have this on the list last year. But it is Mission Red Planet. Clearly, second edition, huh?
What on your list?
I guess not. No, I couldn't find it. I mean, I have my printout from 2017. So if I end up seeing it, then I'll be like, oh well.
Your whole list is
my whole list sucks already. But anyway, so Mission Red Planet is a fantastic area control game where you have a hand. Everyone has a hand. It's one of those games where everyone has the same hand, and you select which one that you want to use. You reveal it, and then you count down from 9 to 1, and that's the order that they go in. So you're trying to get people onto ships, fill up the capacity of the ship to fly to certain planets, and then you get resources and points for controlling certain areas. It's a fun game. Funny enough, the first time I played this game, I hated it because I just got done playing a party game, so I went from party game straight to a strategy game, and I was like not in the right mindset. But I tried it again. It's a very, very neat area control game. I wish they would add an expansion. I wish they would do something with it, because they made the second edition, and it's solid in and of itself, but I wish they were like, because they have like the moon that you can also go colonize. Have you played this? Okay. You can do that, and then there's just different sections with like secret objectives you can go for. It's pretty neat. I just hardly ever play it, so that's why it's my honorable mention.
All right, my honorable mention is a brand new game for this year. It's also new to the list, obviously, and it is Bargain Quest.
Wow. Okay. I thought you didn't like it. Whenever you were telling me, did you play it again since then?
I've played it twice.
Okay.
I have everything for it now and everything.
Yeah.
It will be actually what it was. Now that I remember, it's because we played it with 6 people.
Yes.
And that was horrible.
Yeah.
It took forever.
I think that's the last time you told me about it, so I was like,
because I played a 4-player game and it was a lot better.
It was a lot better.
Yeah. But it'll be higher the more I play it, obviously. Plus, I have all the extra, like this solo play deal and all that stuff. I haven't tried that solo play yet.
The black market expansion.
Yeah. But all the little packs you can buy and all that jazz. Yep. But anyway, in Bargain Quest, it's kind of like you're the shopkeeper for an RPG a role-playing game kind of thing. You were trying to you get a hand of cards, you put window dressing, something out in the window to try to lure certain heroes into your store to buy stuff. So you're getting money that way. You equip your they buy stuff to equip, then they go out and they're trying to fight deals and stuff. So it's like I said, I haven't played the Black Market expansion. I've just played the core-based game. That's what I've played so far. But it's really neat, you know. I need to upgrade them to metal coins. Yep, that's for sure. But it was one that the idea of it is intriguing, being the shopkeeper. Yeah. And stuff instead of being the actual heroes.
Now, how do you win? Is it point based, or is it?
It was you get points for the heroes killing.
Okay.
The bad guys.
Because they use like your gear.
Yeah.
For it. Yeah. Okay.
And then you get like renown, or I can't remember what the term is, renown or whatever. But and like I said, I don't know what the expansions bring in, but it was really neat. I mean, it was because you could hire employees that could go and steal stuff from other people or do stuff like that and everything. It's a good one, you know, and I could see them really going to town and adding more stuff to it. Yeah. But don't play it. I would not recommend going over 4 players with it.
Yeah, 6. It's hard to find any game that is like, hey, 6 players is a solid number. You should only, like, the one game comes to mind is the Captain Sonar, where it's like, you have to have 8. But other than that, it's like, no, like, it's very rare. Yeah. So, awesome. To the actual list, that game was hot garbage. I couldn't even make it. But my 100, which it was so funny, because when I saw this, that it made the list. Because basically when you do the index card system, you'll put a card, like, you have like 5 cards already, and you put it, and you're like, okay, this is high. But you don't realize how many cards you're putting in front of it, so by the time you add it all up, you're like, that's number 80? What the hell? So this one made the list, and it is Fog of Love. Fog of Love is the relationship game, the one that is perfect. It's basically a psychological game, because what you do is you play this if you're having troubles in like your relationship, or that's hot garbage, I'm lying. But you do, because you play a fake relationship. Like you get, you can be a guy who has like, he never wears shoes, smells like shit, but he's a lawyer, and then you have some, you know, uptight, like, loves rom-com and shits her pants. And it's like, and then you have these scenarios that you guys play, and you have to like try and match these secret objectives you have to get. Right. And if that was it, then this game would be awful, because if you just play the card, similar to a lot of storytelling games, if you just play the card and you just play it, you're like, this is what it does, then this game is awful. What you have to do is you have to role play your characters, and I've only ever played this with Kat, with my significant other. And this game is so funny. And when you have these clearly terrible people, like, who are trying to make this relationship work, because you have like ending cards, you're like, okay, well, I have what I need to. I want to make the relationship work, but clearly she's trying to break up with you. And then you flip it. It's such a blast, and that's why I made the list. Like, whenever I was comparing it to all the other ones, Mission Red Planet, and the ones that didn't make the list, I was like, no, like, this one is, if I hadn't played this with Kat, like, I want to try this with like a friend, like if you and I played it, just to see how that relationship would work. It's so funny, and I like the psychology behind it. The guy, the designer for it, wanted to make a game that his wife could play. They have these different types of scenarios where it's like, okay, we're gonna do the high school sweetheart, you know, cup, like scenarios where it's like, wow, you guys are terrible human beings for sticking together since high school. And they also have like a all in the family like pack, so you date like your brother and siblings. It's like, it's the
the Arkansas pack.
Yeah, they try to incorporate a lot of different. No, but in 2018 it was my number 42, so it fell 58 spots. Yeah, clearly for the same reasons I'm saying. And Kat and I actually play this game, not like quite a bit. It's not like hitting the table every day, but more often than not, and we just have a blast. And I mean, we had this guy, like one of his traits is he was short, and the cat's character was like super tall, and one of the scenarios was like a photo shoot, and it was just hilarious because I just envisioned him like behind her, and it's like, or he had to get on a stool to make it work. It's such a fun game, but if you take this game seriously, you are gonna have a bad time. Some people will actually like get upset by some of the cards. It's like, why would you invite your ex over? It's like, what are you talking about? It's a fucking game. And it was not on the list in 2017, so that's my number 100, Fog of Love.
All right,
beat that.
My number 100. I don't even know if you played this one. It was 92 last year.
Okay.
And I am 84 before, so it's fallen about 8 or so each.
Sticking roughly around the same area.
Yeah, it is Valley of the Kings. It's a little card game by AEG. The reason it's here, it's a really good game, but there's that premium edition that they had on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get that.
That just came out, didn't it?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Right?
Okay.
But I need to get that because this is one of those games that has the little cards, and
like
stuff,
like this Fantasy Flight, like little ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this Valley of the Kings, the premium edition one that they come out with, they're all tarot-sized cards.
Mm.
So and it has all the cards for all three because there's 3 sets. There's Valley of the Kings. There's like Afterlife.
They just can't find a happy medium though. The tiny ass cards and your giant ones.
So eventually, like if I got that big one, it may go up more once I get it or whatever. But pretty much in this game, what you're doing is you're gonna have cards. They're gonna be set up like a pyramid.
Okay.
You are going to be buying cards off of that pyramid to put into your area that has an ability. It kind of uses the Elysium deal a little bit.
I see. All right.
Because the cards have abilities and stuff, or money or whatever. As you buy stuff off of the pyramid kind of crumbles down.
Okay.
So everything fills in, and then the new cards come up at the top. So as you're buying, it makes
you have to buy from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then stuff kind of filters through.
Okay.
But then there's a turning point in the game, just like Elysium, where you want to start putting those cards out here and burying them into your tomb, or putting them into your, sarcophagus, whatever.
Yep.
For when you get ready to die, and then those are the points at the end of the game. So that's your winning condition is however much.
So it
stuff
does.
You have.
Yeah, you're right. Elysium does that. Tyrants of the Underdark does that. Where you're trying to get cards. I always like that mechanic. That use them for what you got, and then you make that decision. It's like, I need the points.
And there's some set collection a little bit, and there's stuff like that. So it's like you're getting cool stuff, and then you're using it to better what you can buy. The more money you can buy, different stuff, and then you just need to make sure before the game ends that you've buried enough stuff to make you have the coolest, I guess, tomb or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's in the small box, and maybe the big box is gonna be too much.
I was thinking that. I'm like,
because when you're building a pyramid and you have the little cards, it's
easier. It's more concise versus let's move this one big piece.
Right. And you can get the little box versions fairly cheap right now because they're not really making them anymore.
Right.
Because the big one's out.
Why wouldn't they just do standard size cards? That's so dumb.
Yeah, I don't know, but. It's premium.
Sure.
Premium.
Oh, man.
So anyway, Valley of Kings is hanging around. It just depends on how things go, but it may or may not be on this list next year. We'll see.
For the record,
yes,
I have 5 new games.
Oh, and
I forgot I was like, there was one other thing that we talked about. I have 5 new games. One of the 5 was the honorable mention. So technically, on the legitimate section, I have 4 new games.
I have 2 counting the honorable mention, only 1.
Okay.
New one.
Okay. All right. So number 99 is a phenomenal 2-player game. One of the basically really replaced chess for me, and that is Onitama. Onitama was number 49 in 2018, so it fell 50, and in 2017 it was number 20. So it has almost out the list. I don't know if this will ever come off the list because I do think that this game is a fantastic strategy 2-player game. And unfortunately, I haven't tried the newest expansion. I own it, like the Wind one, in the Way of the Wind or whatever, where basically that kind of affects the board. But in Onitama, if you don't know, you have 5 pieces. Both sides have 5 pieces, and you have 2 cards each, and then 1 card in the middle. And you basically use these cards to move your pawns, and they're all in wacky different ways. So every pawn can move based off the card that you're doing. And you're trying to either kill their emperor or land your emperor on their throne. So you can win 2 ways. And what makes this game super neat is that when you use a card, you swap it out for the one in the middle. So if I have the tiger and I move a pawn, then I swap that out with the ox. So now I have that. And then when Brad, for example, plays one of his cards, then he takes a card that so you're cycling through these 5 cards, and you're essentially deciding what cards do you want to give your opponent. So there's a lot of strategy in this. You have to look at the board state at all times and be like, okay, if I give him this, how can he use it against me? And there's multiple games I've played where I will hold on to 1 card because I'm like, this is too powerful for them to use against me, but I can't use it right now, so I'm just gonna wait. And you build everything, use every other card to try and set up this one. And I mean, I can't really say why it's fallen in all reality. It's just one of those things where I just like games at this point in time a lot better. So
well, I've never played the physical version of this. I have played the app.
Yep.
And so that's how I've played it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I tried the app. I get whooped in the app all the time, and I'm just like, I feel better playing against another human being. So that's my number 99, Onitama.
All right, my number 99, if I can get my stupid thing to open, is a game that I'm not sure why it's this low. I think it's because I need to get some of the other expansions to freshen it up, because it was 87 last year. It was 78 the year before. And it is Epic Spell Wars. I only have the first 2.
Oh, gotcha. I think they have 4 total.
Yeah. So I think I just need to get some of those other stuff to freshen it up a little bit. The Pleasure Palace and whatever the other one was.
Some
Tentakill.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or something. I don't know. Anyway, Epic Spell Wars is just another game not to really take seriously. You're building spells. You're going up against other wizards. I don't know if you play with the rule where you announce the spell.
We do at like the beginning, and then we immediately quit just yelling the spell.
But you can build a spell with 1, 2, or 3 parts, and they fire off in different orders depending on how many parts you have, or there's a number in the bottom corner that'll give you initiative if there's a tie, and then it just fires off. You know, it may affect the person with the highest amount of hit point or life. It may affect the with the lowest. It may affect the ones to the left or right. There's a die roll on the last part. Generally, I'll have die rolls. There's a set collection. If you can put down a spell that has multiple of the same power, when you roll the dice, you get extra stuff. You're just battling it out. The first person to get 3 wins, or 2 or 3,
I think.
Wins the game.
Yep.
So but you get benefits, because if you die, every round that happens after you die, you get a death card. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Some sort of card, but it'll benefit you. So like when the next round starts and you come back out, then you get these benefits from all the cards you collect. So if you die early, you kind of want the rest of it to stretch out and go.
Yep.
The one part about this game, and this is the complaint whenever I teach this game to somebody, is that the game takes too long for what kind of game it is.
Sure.
Because if you're playing with 4 or 5 players, it's easy to screw. Like if one person wins, everybody's going to go after that one person and kill them, and then somebody else wins, and then everybody's going after those 2, and somebody else wins. So every time I've played this, almost, no matter how many players, everybody ends up with 1 token, and then it comes down to that last.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So it kind of drags a little bit that way. But it's still hilarious.
Yeah, the art for this game is phenomenal. That's what sells it. They just made a deck building game. I have not tried it yet. I have it over there.
Yeah.
It was my 134 this year, so it felt quite a bit.
They need to make an app for that game, I think.
I don't know. Like, obviously, every time an expansion comes out, I immediately buy it because I think the game is fantastic and it's super fun to play. But as you said, it does take a little bit long for the type of beer and pretzels game it is. So, okay.
Yeah, it's a solid one.
My number 98 is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. I couldn't think of a segue into it. Last year it was number 82, so it fell 16 spots, and it was not on my list in 2017. So, with Deception and Murder in Hong Kong, this is a really, really good party deduction game. And for some reason, everyone was comparing this to Mysterium. And I'm like, I don't know how you're getting that. But apparently there's a new one that's a Mysterium killer. It's just like, look, you can't kill Mysterium. Just fucking get over it. But it's a lot of fun. But Deception Murder Hong Kong is one person is a forensic scientist and one person is a murderer, and then you have everyone else. And it's one of those things where no one knows who the murderer is except the forensic scientist. So it makes it interesting because the scientist cannot speak, but he has these tiles that he gets to play and put a bullet on it, which is in relation to the weapons and stuff that the murderer used. So everyone has 2 sets of 4 cards, a blue and a red one, and the murderer picks 2 of them, like one of each. And so then the forensic scientist has to use these tiles as clues. So it's like, okay, if I picked, a ball gag and a plastic bag, then the one of the tiles might be weather, and then it's like, oh crap, and he can't say anything. So he has to do best with what he's got. Then it's up to everyone to look at things and be like, okay, based off his clues, these pairings are the best ones. So this person's most likely the murderer. What makes it even more difficult to even find the murderer is, and you have 3 rounds to try and do so, but everyone only gets 1 guess. And if they guess wrong, and it's not that they have to get the pair, they can't just get one of them. So let's say someone said, okay, well, is it the ball gag and the needle? It's just like the scientist has to say no, even though they're half right. So it becomes extremely difficult. I've heard with the expansion, it makes it even better.
That's what I was going to bring up.
But I haven't tried the expansion yet. I never have enough people.
Yeah, I haven't played the expansion either.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard what you had heard probably. There's a role in there that actually makes it to where they can help the murderer.
Yeah, it's like an accomplice.
So it makes it even tougher because then they can throw a little shade, and can help the killer. And it's a hard enough game anyway.
Exactly.
As many times as I've played it, maybe once, we've caught
we got the one we played with like 8 people one time at the game store, and
I was there that time.
Yeah, it was like one of the first times you and I actually gamed together, and we got John at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a fun game. I really want to try the expansions because they add like scenarios, they add the different roles, and this is way more streamlined than like the Resistance, for example. Resistance is probably easier to teach base game to base game, but this one is just phenomenal. So, Deception Murder in Hong Kong is my number 98.
All right, my number 98 will probably make you happy that it's this low. It was 80 last year, and it was 25 the year before that.
Oh, God.
It probably would have been a top 10 the year before that, and it's Summoner Wars.
Yeah!
Summoner Wars is falling, not because I don't dislike the game anymore, it's just because I haven't played it in 2 years, probably.
Yeah.
I play it on the app every now and again, but it's one of those games that at the time when it came out, it was a miniature, dudes on a map game without the dudes on a map. The cards were the miniature, and you moved them around, and you fought and spawned them out, and there were so many cool, interesting factions. The basis of the game is, you're a summoner, and the other, it's a 1v1, and you're just going to try to kill the other person's summoner. Yep. And it's dice rolling unless you're the stupid Phoenix Elves, but dice rolling to resolve hits and all that stuff. And
Phoenix Elves.
Yeah,
I remember you talking about
the Phoenix Elves. Prince Elian is just a fuck up. But anyway, I played tested for this, so that's one reason why I was pretty in depth with this for a long while. But it just didn't catch on as being a game that stayed around, and stuff. And with it being 1v1, and it just wasn't. Like I said, the app is still good and live. It's a good way to play it. You can get in, and I think it's free just to try the first few deals. But it's just a battle. It's a war game.
Yeah,
I mean, there really isn't much. It just was unique because you moved your card around on a grid map instead of having a miniature.
Yeah, I mean, the factions were unique and they did feel different. My biggest complaint with it was essentially roll to resolve in a strategy game, and I hated that.
Yeah,
like it's like what's the point of me trying to outmaneuver you and strategically use my faction, and then to even win I just have to roll and hope I roll well. Yeah, and it's like, okay, that's lazy. And it just, some of these games, why some games fell back for me or even off the list was they were good 5 years ago. They were good, and it's like
it shows its age.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, it was because I think it came out in 2012.
Yeah,
I think is when it came out.
And
so
it's difficult, like. Because some people might be like, oh, if you don't play it in 2 years, why don't you get rid of it? And it's like, well, because I still like it. But it's weird. These lists are actually a lot more difficult to make than you would think. Because it's like, oh, I haven't played it. But, like, you have fond memories. You know it's a good game. It's just, well, I don't have time. Like,
it's been replaced.
Yeah.
I mean, by other games that'll be on the list.
Yeah.
1v1 games. You can only have so many 1v1 games.
Yeah, it's just a matter.
And it kind of...
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely get there later on.
Yeah,
but,
so this will probably not be on my list next year just because it just keeps...
Yeah. And it's about playtime, so maybe if you played it and you're like, oh yeah, this was really good, it might be higher next year.
Maybe.
You never know.
Yeah,
you're not going to play it, and it'll eventually...
Hey, you're going to play me?
I'm sure. If you want me to play it, I will play it.
If you want me to hate it worse,
if you want me to...
damn Phoenix Elves.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll play them. Then I like the game. I'm like, this game is great.
Well, really. Phoenix Elves, you don't have to roll dice to hit.
Oh, great. Then yes, I will like them.
I'm just going to do 2 damage to you.
That's how it should be. That's like Neuroshima Hex, for example. I've only ever played the app. But that's how it is. Like, okay, I'm going to place here, and they just do the damage. Like, why have the die? That's how every faction should have been.
But that reason that they're the outliers.
That's why they're busted, is because they don't have to roll. Everyone else, it's like, wow, I rolled a 1, I missed. Oh, weird. What are you doing with that die? I don't know what that is. Yeah, I think I'll attack. You're right, yeah, we can play it. My number 97... Where am I at? Okay, yep. Just wanted to make sure I was lined up with... My number 97 is the other wizard game that people compare to Epic Spell Wars, and that's Wiz War.
Yeah, that one's fallen for you, hasn't it?
It was number 86 last year in 2018, so fell 11, and number 49 in 2017. Okay. So it definitely has fallen a lot in the past 2 years. But Wiz War is still and I like it better than Epic Spell Wars, obviously. It made the list. Because it's more whimsical, because it's not. It is still whimsy, but there's more strategy in this one versus the Epic Spell Wars. But what I love about this one is you're dueling wizards. It's multiplayer, and you're running around an arena. Like it's not really a grid, but it is with walls and stuff that you're trying to get to where the enemy is, and you can either play some attack cards to try and kill them or steal their treasure, and you win when you're the first 1 to 2 points. If you steal someone's treasure and bring it back to your base, that's 1 temporary point because they can steal it back. But if you kill a wizard, that's 1 permanent point, and they're out for the game. So what makes this game fantastic is there's like 15 or 16 different schools of cards that have their own deck. And the very first time I played this, which I don't play this way anymore, is there's a variant called like Big Book of Magic, and you just shuffle all the cards together. Well, that just became radically unfair and just like almost watered down the deck. So now what I do is I have like a decider, and it's like, okay, well, this is what we're gonna play with, and then we just shuffle those. So it's a very succinct, different type of game.
Right.
But one of my favorite things about this is that there's the different schools. There's a beast, like a transmutation school that you can turn into beasts that have minis that you swap yours out that have abilities. There's just so much throughout, like, okay, well, I'm going to play this lightning bolt that can ricochet off walls and zap. I'm going to play... One of the last times I played this was... I was in the middle of my base, and someone played a card that he just put a wall up, so I couldn't move through it, and I was essentially blocked in. And I was like, oh, okay. And I played a card that swapped me and another player. So I'm like, hey. So I put him in there, and then I was out. And he was just cracking up, because it's just... This is another beer and pretzels game. So if you're taking it too serious, why the fuck would you do that? You're gonna have a bad time. But like whenever you're thinking like that, it's like that's hilarious. Like, oh, haha, this will be funny, and then he puts a wall. And it's like, yeah, that is funny. And then there's just so much of that going on in this. There's a bunch of items that you can play, and there's a token for each item. There's different ways you can heal yourself. One of them is called Wallivore, where you eat the wall, so there's a hole in the wall, but you heal health, so you can break down and maneuver through it. It's a blast. I really like it a lot, so that's my number 97.
All right.
Wiz War.
My number 97 is an interesting one.
Okay.
Because last year it was 134.
Oh, wow.
The year before that it was 66.
Oh, so it kind of just got in the
fell
middle.
off the list, and now it's back on the list at 90.
Wow.
At 97.
Okay.
And once I play the expansion, it may go up again, and that's Euphoria.
Oh. Hey, yeah.
Well, a better dystopia.
Yeah.
This was one I kind of... Because it had fallen off the list because I hadn't played it.
Yeah.
And
60-something in 2017?
It was 67,
Okay.
66 to 134 to 90.
To 90. So, yeah, pretty much like almost right in the middle.
And it's just because, like we'd said with it, I played it again.
Yeah.
And remembered how good it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I have the expansion down there,
stuff.
yeah.
But in Euphoria, it's Stonemaier Games, so it's going to have, if you know Scythe, if you know...
Charterstone was the other one with the bump mechanic.
Viticulture,
Mm-hmm.
Viticulture, like he makes good games.
Yep.
This one's one that I don't know if this one gets as much high. I mean, Scythe obviously is
Scythe is their big one. Tapestry is the newest hotness that people cream over.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if it's Stonemaier, you're usually going to get hype no matter what they're making. But
this was one of his early ones, though. This was his first Kickstarter, or first big Kickstarter. Don't quote me as being his very first.
Yeah, this one doesn't get as much love. I'm glad they made an expansion, though.
Yeah, but pretty much in this, you are. I like the worker deal, the worker aspect, where you're trying to keep them dumb.
Oh yeah,
because
it's a dice worker placement.
Yeah. You aren't wanting them to be too smart and wisen up stuff. You're trying to keep them.
And they leave.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just so many options in this game, just like so many other versions. I think you can do this solo.
I don't know
with the Onitama. I think.
Oh yeah, they do their Onitama thing.
I haven't tried it that way. There's a lot going on in this game, though. I mean, you're trying to accomplish stuff up in the I can't remember what they're all. I guess the Utopia,
the blimp, where the drugs are made
down in the So it's kind of it's an interesting take because you're showing all the work these guys are doing to make the cream.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's the 3 different factions.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm not exactly sure what the expansion does.
I can't remember. I remember looking into it. I think it adds... I mean, it's a small box expansion, but I think it does more with the Bliss.
Right. But they have these... This was the first game that used those cards, like what Scythe had, where you have the cards that you can kind of make a choice. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the first.
Yeah, it was your your faction cards, and then they also... What I really liked about this was you are getting the resources to build, the locations almost, and then if you build it, that's a point because you're trying to play stars similar to Scythe. And if you build it, and people can help, then it's great because they'll have negative effects. So then if someone didn't help, then they're getting affected by that. And but they have the opportunity to be like, okay, fine, I'll show up, I'll help, and then they can put a star on it.
This is a steampunk. Would you say kind of? It has all the gears and kind of the weird stuff on the wheels.
It's essentially... I mean, it says build a better dystopia. It just has that dystopian future, which I can see why you would have said steampunk. I wouldn't think that. I think a dystopian atmosphere is its own thing. But
try it. There's versions out there that have all the Stonemaier realistic resources and all that stuff, which makes it cool. You don't have to have that. My version doesn't have that stuff. It's still a good game.
Yeah.
If you wanted to see, if you love Scythe and you want to see kind of a precursor to Scythe that kind of shows
pretty much, yeah.
I mean, because Scythe kind of borrowed stuff.
Mm-hmm. All of those games kind of borrow from each other. Charterstone borrowed the bump. Okay, I place a worker. Okay, then you'll get it back and you roll it. I will agree with you. I like the because you roll them, and then if your total equals 14,
it was something, yeah.
So the more workers you get, the higher likelihood you're gonna roll above a 14 or a 15, and then you're gonna lose a worker, and it's just like, because they're like, hey, this place fucking sucks, and then they leave, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, so it's a good one. Like I said, I mean, I haven't played it a ton. That's why it's not like really high up there. I played it probably a handful of times back in the day, a couple of years ago, obviously.
Yeah. Hell, I'm glad it's back on the list. So.
Yeah, we'll see what that expansion can do.
Yeah.
And stuff. But,
96! My number 96 is new to the list, and it's another Stonemaier game. Very happy it actually stayed on the list. And that is Between Two Cities. Between Two Cities is a excellent and unique game. What I love about Stonemaier games is they always do something different. Like we mentioned that they borrow a lot of their mechanics from one another. That's fine, but they always try something new. And Between Two Cities is a tile laying game where you are trying to place tiles in two different cities, but you're working with the other players to your left and right to try and be like, okay, what? Because you draft tiles, and it's like, okay, so we need to place this one over here. What do you have? And we try to make this one really good, while also trying to make this one really good, because your final score is the lowest of the two.
That's right. I knew there was something to do with that.
Yeah, so you can't just be like, oh, let's make this one amazing. Okay, this one's 100 points. Ah, shit, that one's 4. So you get 4 points, and you are competing. So it does a really good job, because if you were trying to compete, like in Seven Wonders, for example, it's like, oh, I just got to do really well myself. Here, you actually have to be like, okay, listen, I know you want to put that one over here for your guys' thing, but if you put it over here, then we can get this combo and we can start working this. So you actually have to work together. It's semi-cooperative, I guess.
Yeah.
And
that would be the...
I mean, it really is. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, so great, we did that, so that one's set. Well, we have a plan for this city. Now we need to make a plan for this city and try and just see who does best. The Capitals expansion for this is also really, really good, because they added specific tiles that do well if they're adjacent to a certain type, but do bad if they're adjacent to another type. So that adds a little, like, oh man, I want to put it over here, but then that'll stifle us. They also added kind of landscape cards to where now, instead of just building the 5x5, you actually have certain placements, and they have bridges on the landscape that now connect. Like, okay, even though it's across the bridge, they're adjacent, so now they're going to get their benefit. Each tile has their own unique way of scoring, which is also really good. This is a solid game, and whenever I first played it, because I bought it and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I was kind of blown away. I'm like, this is a very small, solid, semi-cooperative game, and now that doesn't really work out a whole lot. So it's my number 96.
All right, my number 96 we were talking about just a little bit ago.
Okay.
Fantasy Flight Games. Last year it was 46, so it dropped 50 spots, unranked the year before, and that is Keyforge.
Gotcha. Man, that's still on your list, huh?
It's a good game.
No, it's not.
I mean, if the competitive scene would have stayed around there, I would still be playing it.
Gross.
Just because it's, to me, because being Netrunner competitive, the way I approached Keyforge was not. It's a competitive game that you take lightly.
Sure.
Like, I don't play. Every time I played Keyforge in like a few tournaments I did, it's just out there to just fuck around, have fun. I don't take it seriously.
You know what kills that game?
What's that?
The same thing that I think will probably kill his other game, Carnival of Monsters, having Richard Garfield's name on it. He is so tied to Magic that you can't help but compare it to Magic. And I know that that's wrong to do so, because it's not Magic. Nothing will ever beat Magic.
Right.
But you have to. He made the fucking game, so then you're gonna go in and be like, oh, this is nothing like Magic. I think if I didn't have that precursor, if I didn't love Magic like I did, like if I hated Magic,
I'm saying I've never really played Magic very much.
So if I hated Magic by the time this came around, I'd probably like it a lot more.
Yeah.
But
so maybe that's why, because I'm not really a Magic. I never really touched it except for playing it.
You don't want to drop $1,000 on a fucking deck of cards,
right? But anyway, with this Keyforge, and I think a lot of the allure of this game was the uniqueness of it. That for $10 you could play the game.
Yeah.
You know, and
barrier to entry
and
is
stuff,
so
and,
low.
and the ways to do tournaments, like the tournament we did opening night on release night.
Yep.
Because everybody that came there, we just bought a deck, played that deck.
Yep.
It's awesome. I mean, that takes out the well, with Netrunner, there's no deck building, so you didn't have the guys that were really good at deck building creating the super powerful decks. You know, that you just get what you get, and that's why you have to almost approach it lightheartedly, because it's just like, oh, we're just gonna do this, and stupid shit happens. You may get a shit deck, you may get an awesome deck, you never know.
Yeah.
This will not be on my list next year, just because it fell 50 points this time.
Yeah. The only salvation for this game for me is if they're new wave or future waves, they have to add player interaction. That's the thing that kills it. Also for me is like, I'm playing the game by myself, but it's a 1v1.
Yeah.
That's what.
I mean, some of that, of course. I mean, it all depends on the decks and stuff that you had. I mean, that's the thing, is it's not consistent player interaction, because I have decks that are player interaction. So.
But I guess what I mean,
stealing stuff from you and
yes,
from mine.
Yes,
you know,
sorry,
like
yes,
that.
there are cards like that, and what I mean by that is like, essentially, once your turn is over, you're done until your next turn. There's no, I can't hold cards and be like, oh, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna count, reactions or instants or anything like that. So. I don't know. It's just not that type of game for me.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and that's why I said. I mean, it's fallen for me obviously too, but it stayed on my list.
What was it last year?
46.
46.
And
that's right.
96 now.
Yeah.
So, and that's mainly just because I can see it for what it is. It's just not going to be something that I'm really going to play that much, because there's nobody to play it with.
Yeah.
you know, nobody else plays
I mean,
it. And
I will give this its credit, which is probably its biggest thing, is like you mentioned before, it's a $10 deck, and you have the deck, versus, because you can buy precons for Magic too, but they're $40. And they're really good precons, but clearly, if you're going to play competitively in any way, if you don't have a top tier, foiled out $3,000 deck, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
This one, everyone is like, oh, hey, everyone has a chance. Yeah. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But, that's, what was, Euphoria was before this one. Yes. Then you had, I was like, man, that's two games that I don't like that are slowly coming off. I see you're coming around to.
Summoner Wars was the one that you.
Yeah, so.
I'm not
you're coming
around.
I think.
Fuck off.
My number 95 is brand new to the list too. I wonder if it'll be higher on your list. I wonder if you remembered, but I don't think you own this. It is The Big Score.
I do own it.
You do own it?
I bought the Kickstarter version at Origins.
Right. Okay, awesome. So, The Big Score is a shocker of game. And this is another company, Van Ryder Games, that is starting to come around. I know before this I had Hostage Negotiator, which is a solo-only game.
I need to play that.
I went in and bought...
I need it.
Because they went their latest Kickstarter. I need it.
I do, because it's a solo game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it looks awesome.
And I always wrote it off when I first saw it. I'm like, that's not going to be for me. But then, I was like, whenever I looked at The Big Score, and they also did the Detective City of Angels.
And the graphic novels.
I have played one of them. Actually, they were really nice enough to send me... Did you ever see anything for the Crusoe Crew? It's a graphic novel adventure game. And I asked them, because their Detective City of Angels went back on for their expansion Kickstarter, and I asked them, hey, if you have a review copy, I'll be more than happy to do it. And he thanked me very much for doing games before, but he's like, well, we don't have one of this, but we do have Crusoe. So he sent me that, which was awesome. But then I started recognizing their name a lot, and I was like, okay, so then that's when I went and just bought their all-in Hostage Negotiator stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested.
If I hate it, then
yes,
I'll definitely get a hold of you. Big Score was one of their games that I bought at Gen Con last year, and just never got around to playing it. I'm like, that's probably going to be bad. It is so fun. There's two phases in the Big Score, and it's kind of it's a card drafting game for the first phase, where then you're trying to play assign certain people to certain locations, because each location is that's like your pre-heist, and you're like, okay, if we all meet by putting people here, then we'll all get this bonus. And so you have to read your players, read the opponents, be like, oh man, who are they gonna go? Who's gonna send? Well, I'll send all these people here just to ensure I'm going. That's all fun. That's a fun, that could be a game in and of itself. But where the game shines a little bit more for me is the fact that the second half is the big bank heist, which is a push your luck thing, and it's a really nice, aesthetically pleasing big bank, like magnetic bank thing that have a bunch of tokens in it. And you reach in, you draw it, you might get a bunch of stuff that's like, oh, that's a lot of money. And whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins.
When you all close-fisted.
Yeah, that's you don't
right. Have to. That's the push your luck part.
That's right.
Because if you don't want to push your luck, you think the cops, because there's cop tokens that can arrest you, or arrest everybody, lose your money.
Yeah.
So you could go close or empty fist. If you do that, that means you left the bank.
Yeah.
Free.
Yep. You keep all your stuff.
Yeah, you keep what you have and everything, but everybody else pushes.
Yeah, and they keep going and they keep going, and for some reason, I have a feeling that they manufactured some technology that makes the cop tokens magnetic to your skin, because then it's like there's 10 in the whole thing, because you don't modify it per players. Right. You just need a lot, like for like a 3-player game, you need more cop tokens. So the more players, the less tokens that are needed. But then it's like, oh god, okay, there's 2 and there's like 5. Okay, no, it's like what the like. Yes. It's so much fun and a little bit more complicated than it needed to be at the beginning. Like whenever we were first learning the game, we were like,
after you play it though that first time and people know what they're doing, it's a piece of cake. I've played this probably 10 or 15 times since we played it here.
Really?
It's my wife and some other friends, like one of their favorite games.
It's so fun, and this was like kind of the pinnacle of me looking for Van Ryder, because I'm like, I didn't do their graphic novels because it was very expensive, and I understand why, because it's a graphic novel. But I was like, I can't justify that. But there are other games.
When you are solid with this game, everybody playing it is used to it. You can whip a game out in no time flat. Like,
really?
I mean, well, it's just 3 rounds of 3 rounds of drafting and setting.
Yeah.
And then you do the bank thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, games fly 30 minutes.
Yeah. I would like to see even a little bit like another smaller expansion.
Well, they had that one expansion I haven't played with yet.
Oh, I don't remember what it's called. It's like the Vault.
Yeah,
it's like like a safe cracker expansion or something like that.
And then there's a solo expansion.
Yeah.
Too,
Have you tried the solo?
No. Yet.
It's interesting. So that's my number 95, the big score.
Good choice.
I think so.
My number 95 is a golden oldie.
Okay.
It was not. Let's see where. Oh, I'm missing it here. It was 129 last year.
Okay.
It was not on the list the year before, so it's went up 34 spaces.
Coming up.
Yes, and it's because I bought a big box version of it.
Okay.
And that's Carcassonne.
Oh, all right.
Now, Carcassonne, old school.
Yeah.
Tile laying.
Yeah.
But I love tile laying.
Right.
And it's for the simplicity of that game, and I mean, it's just this. I don't know what else to say. It's the simplicity. You're gonna grab a tile, place a meeple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you gain gold. You're trying to build towns. You're trying to get your roads to connect and stuff. Farmlands.
Was there a church?
Cathedral. Yeah, there's churches. Yeah. All the expansions. God,
there's so many. They have like 15 small ones and 80 big boxes.
Yeah. I was able to pick up like one of the big boxes.
Yeah.
For like $20.
Yeah, it includes all of it.
It didn't have the box. It was just
one giant duffel bag.
Yeah, it was like a bag.
It's like a sandwich bag.
But I already had the core box, so it all fits in the core box still.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so there's like 4 or 5 versions of the big box though.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different iterations.
This was one of this. This is like the second version, so there's still some expansions I don't have.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is one of those, when people talk about the oldie kind of games, like El Grande and Catan and Carcassonne. I mean, those are the ones that you go and this one, I played it again a few times, and my wife loves it.
Yep.
It's going to hit the table more often and stuff, so it's probably going to either stay around here or it'll stay on the list.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's interesting. I've only ever played this game as the app, and I think I got turned on to it from Will Wheaton's Tabletop.
Yeah.
You remember when that was a thing?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I've never physically owned it, never physically played against anyone with it, but it's a solid game, and it's definitely a really good tiling gateway game. Another thing is a coworker of mine, this is like him and his girlfriend's favorite game, because like he's asked me, because he knows this is my hobby, and I'm like, well, if you want something other than Carcassonne, you can try this or this. But or I'm like, try the expansions for it, and I guess they just they play like one expansion a lot, and then they'll add, like they'll slowly add another one. But yeah, that like they really like Carcassonne.
I
It's
heard the
nice.
Amazonas one is really good.
I think that was
that's what
one of
Sam on.
yeah, Sam off the Dice Tower talks about.
But anyway, old game, but this is still it's awesome. I mean, it's led to, you know, like what's the one game that is the tile laying? Can't think of it right now. That has the shield, the Isle of Skye.
Oh, okay.
Isle of Skye, like the tiles almost look identical.
Yeah, they do.
You know, so I mean, it's definitely getting its influence from Carcassonne and stuff like that. And, so I would assume most of the people have played that game.
Right, you don't have to elaborate a little bit. My number 94 was number 64 last year, so it fell 30 spaces, and number 42 in 2017. But still a solid exploration game, and it is Tikal. This is one of those games that Kat absolutely loves as well. I think this was on her top 10 games of all time. Because it's so simple. Like it's a tile exploration game, and you have, you know, your workers, and you're moving around trying to, you know, flip these tiles and like excavate like these the mine temples, and so you're trying to go down and control those little areas because you get a bunch of points whenever the scoring tile gets flipped, and it's like, oh, I have the most people here, so this is at level 8, I'm gonna get 8 points, and you just do that throughout the thing. And the tile orientation can move to where it's more difficult to follow the path. You have to spend a lot more because it's action points select. So you have 10 action points to spend. It's like, okay, to get from this tile to this tile, it's going to cost me 4 of those. Ugh. It's like, okay, so I guess I'll go around and try and maneuver a little bit different. You can place 10 set shortcuts, so once you get further in, you can have a little bit more freedom. Then there's also set collection with treasures, and you can spend extra points to just, hey, I'm going to swap treasures with you. One of the things I'm not 100% keen on, but it's very minor, and this is just one of those simple, solid games that works really well for 2, because the board it's enough, and you can move enough to where you can still compete with one another, but it's also empty enough to where you can still do what you want. Right. And with more players, it's that much more congested, so now you're really trying to fight for certain areas. It's a solid one. Have you ever played Tikal?
No.
They made a second one that I never tried, but I never needed to. The first Tikal, this is kind of one of those for me, a gem. It's an old game, but still on the list at 94.
All right. My number 94 is a new one to the list. This is my new one of this section.
Okay.
It was a Kickstarter game that I didn't even know about, and then it was on Miniature Market's drop, so I got it for dirt cheap.
Gotcha.
And it's called Monsterlands.
I have no idea what this is.
You need to look it up at some point because the art is awesome in this game.
Okay.
But it uses a lot of the similar mechanics of Champions of Midgard.
Okay.
You are these warriors, and you're part of this tribe or whatever, and you're earning glory and stuff by going out of the town and killing monsters.
What was it called?
Or the cathedral, Monsterland.
Monsterland.
It's 2 words.
Okay.
But anyway, so you're just going around killing monsters, earning glory, you know, doing different. You're just getting points for different stuff, getting resources for different stuff, and then you win by you're trying to get the crown. You know, you're trying to be, and you are. It's dice play, you know, dice worker placement. Yeah, it's okay. It's competitive. Like I said, it's got its roots in Champions of Midgard, and I'm not saying it's the exact game, but it uses kind of a lot of the same mechanics.
Okay.
The art is awesome on it. But
you're about the monster art.
Yeah, like the cover art, and the box is even cool. It's
it does look pretty cool.
They have an expansion that adds a bunch more monsters and stuff too, and everything. But it was a surprising game because I had never heard of it until I saw it on sale for really cheap. So I picked it up and have played it a few times, and it's fun. You know, it's Champions of Midgard has a lot of stuff going on. This one doesn't have as much. You know, this is kind of like almost a simpler version of it, and it's different because you're just going out and battling monsters. You're not, you know,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good one. Try it. I mean, it's
Second Gate Games
yeah,
is who made it.
I don't even know if they have any other games out because I'd never heard of them.
Now the artwork for the box looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know how I feel about it's basically a white box with a monster on it
Yeah.
and Monsterland. So the monster is the same color as Sully from fucking Monsters Inc.
Yeah, it looks
I think
cool.
that
though.
had
Like,
to have been a nod.
like there's some. It's shiny. It's got the whatever that shiny stuff on. The
I know what you're talking about.
But it's really sweet though, and
All
I wish
right.
I would have done the Kickstarter back in the day because was all kinds of interesting
Yeah,
stuff
of
in
course.
it and everything. But like I said, never heard of it until then, and it's definitely one worth checking out because they don't think it's super expensive.
Yeah, if you got it for like a drop.
Too. I got it for like $20
Yeah.
on the drop.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Awesome. My number 93 is a game that, by golly, I want more for it, which is one of the reasons why it fell. But then once I was making the list, I was like, no, this game is so fun. That's Adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
Adrenaline was number 57 last year, fell 36, and number 17 in 2017. So it has fallen quite a bit.
because they haven't come out with a big expansion yet.
They came out with their Team DLC expansion,
but
basically
more maps
CG.
and
Yeah,
more-
CGE. Just this is dead in the water, and it's only dead in the water because they didn't come out with any more weapons or any more maps. There's just the one dumbass map. I don't know what their deal is, but Adrenaline is basically your first-person shooter board game, and does that really, really well. You have your guy, and you're going from room to room, flipping tiles to collect ammo, which is used for your guns, and then you're going to other rooms to pick up weapons, and then you have those, and they have all unique abilities and like different ammo that you're trying to use to kill the other players. What this game does really, really well, and this is a huge positive for it, is this game can be played really well with an odd number of players. Because whenever you die, so whenever your health meter fills up, you get the most points for, okay, I did the most damage. So I'm going to get the most points for that. Let's say at the beginning I'm worth 10 points. And then it goes down like that. So, okay, hey, I at least hit you, I'll get some points for you. And once you die, you place a skull on the leftmost spot. So now I'm no longer worth 10, I'm worth 8. So as you die, so people cannot just gang up on you throughout the game because, okay, you're not worth it. Hey, you've died 4 times, you're worth 3 points. Like, Brad here hasn't died once, he's still worth 10, so everyone's going to target him. And that's what makes the game balanced. Because this could easily be one of those games where someone just gets hosed, and it would be awful. But that death mechanic makes it fantastic. The different weapons make it a lot of fun. Different combos that you can get for attacking others. It needed more maps. It was that kind of game. Imagine if you played Battlefield or Call of Duty on one map. I mean, it'd be awful. You have to have the map cycle especially if you're trying to make a first-person shooter game. So that's one of the reasons why it fell back, and also just lack of play. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's my number.
It's awesome. It's one that if it had more maps, if they just came out with a front and back map board that had 2 different maps on it, I would probably buy it. I have not bought it because of that reason. I played it twice, and I was already wanting something different. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, because the map is literally just like 4 or 5 just different colored boxes of various sizes.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, you could have made a map expansion with like 3 or 4 or hell even 5 different maps, and it's like, oh, let's try kind of like what Downforce did.
Yes,
kind of like
just put out the
what freaking Formula D.
Yeah.
Like
if out those little just boards. That have the maps
if all those games, especially the racing ones, if they just had one map, those games would be awful because it's like, wow, we're gonna go in a circle again. Like you have to have the variety. So
just so you know, Adrenaline for me didn't make my top 100. Obviously, it was 41 2 years ago.
Wow.
110, and now it's 158.
Damn, yeah.
So it's kind of did the same thing as yours. It's just you liked it a little more.
It's still on my list because I was thinking whenever you do play it, it's still a lot of fun. It's just it does leave you wanting more. So who knows where it'll be next year? Maybe I'll just message CG and just be like, make a fucking map. Oh, that's it. I'm not even gonna tell them what the game's about, but they're gonna know.
I'm sure they get hounded with that crap.
So that's my number 93.
My number 93 is another one of those games that was on my list, bounced off, bounced back on.
Is it gonna make me happy?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's gonna be like way higher on your list.
Gotcha.
It was 64 2 years ago. It was 124 last year, and it is now 93.
93.
And it's a Stonemaier game. Scythe.
Scythe.
Yep.
All right, back on the list.
Back on the list, mainly because just like Euphoria, I mean, it's hard to keep putting these on the list if you haven't played them. And I went a long time without playing it, and I'd only ever played the base game.
Yeah.
And I finally got to play with the Wind Gambit and stuff, so I got to see some of the different stuff. Did you get to play
like all the expansions? Or
Not
just,
all of them.
Okay.
Just the Wind Gambit.
Yeah, that's probably the best one out
itself,
of it.
I mean, just being able to have that deal, you know, and again, got my ass handed to me, but it deserves to be on this list, even though, you know, it's a
the base game itself is
it's
phenomenal.
a triumph in game design anyway, with all the craziness and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the valid complaint is that it's slow.
Right.
Like especially the beginning is very slow. That's why the Wind Gambit thing is
Right.
amazing.
Right, and I will never probably buy this again because I don't own it now. But enough people do that I know, then I'll get to play the stuff, and I want to try the campaign,
Rise of
thing
Fenris
and stuff like that eventually.
I did a no run through review for that. We played all the way through. It took us a while to finally get it because of just time commitment, but we did finally play it all. And if you want to check that out, I'm gonna do a plug, I guess. But if you want to know, because did we do a spoiler one? I can't remember if I did a spoiler, non-spoiler one, but
I'm not going to talk a whole heck of a lot about it because I know it's coming up in about. Oh yeah, this is 93, so probably 92 more spaces or so.
But you don't know. You don't know my list.
I know, but yeah, it's another good one. Stonemaier games.
Yeah, out of the two, so they have the 3 expansions. They also made a modular board expansion, but what bums me out is I have the enlarged board, and the modular tiles are only for the regular size, and I'm like, you guys suck.
You don't have the metal mechs yet?
Man, I almost did it. But it was gonna be like $400, and I was like, ugh. And you can't paint them, but I did want them. Them because I have everything for the game. My next big purchase for that is the Rise of Fenris obviously added a lot of stuff that doesn't quite fit into the Broken Token made a Broken Token add-on for that stuff.
Gotcha.
So I just need to buy that.
Gotcha. So yeah, Scythe 93.
All right, my number 92 is actually the not the last. It is a new game on the list. I don't know. I'm surprised it wasn't on my list last year, but maybe I hadn't played it by the time we did it. Marvel Legendary, or Legendary Marvel.
Yeah, I don't think you had on the list because you really didn't start buying that stuff till.
That's true. That's true. And right now, I have everything for it except for Villains.
This is out of print.
It is out of print, and the Dark City cost me. I got it.
How much did you pay for Dark City?
I think 80. Whew. Yeah. It was up there for an expansion.
That's a good expansion.
Hell, it could, at least it was out of print. The fucking Roll for the Galaxy latest expansion is $80, and I paid for it, and that was like a purchase. I was like, why did I do it? I mean, I love that game, but 80 for an expansion. Anyway, Marvel Legendary is kind of your bog standard deck builder. I know a lot of deck builders coming out are trying to be innovative, and I very much appreciate that because these are the kinds of deck builders that aren't my favorite, but I still actually really, really like deck building now. So hey, coming around.
I may be
we're influencing each other. You're starting to realize the games that you once liked were actually bad, and then now I'm coming around to deck building. But even then, I still have to have games that have theme. But this one has loose theme of the Marvel heroes, but what sells this for me is there's like all of them. They have to have all the heroes now. And they're still releasing expansions.
Yeah.
Like their latest one had I think Howard the Duck was in one of them. Actually, they just released 2.
There's Revelations. That's the only one I don't have yet.
I have that one, and I believe it is
Dimensions had Howard the Duck.
Okay, yeah. So the Revelations, I believe, is Scarlet Witch, War Machine, and Mastermind was that his name? Yeah,
it was a bigger box. It was bigger than the normal
No,
little
those
box
two were
expansions.
maybe I'm missing one then. But I remember the last two were the regular size.
Revelation's bigger.
Okay.
Not a huge. It's not like
Yeah.
Dark City size, but it's not the little pack. It has more cards. It's like
Gotcha.
double the cards. So
Yeah. But there's just so much variety with this, and that's what makes it fun. That's what makes the theme, because it's the whimsical what if kind of thing. It's like, because whenever I did the run through for it, when unfortunately Stan Lee passed away, we did the game and we did the Thanos one because Avengers Endgame and Infinity War was coming out, and we had the worst team ever. We had actually a decent team. We had Vision, Hulk, World War Hulk, the Iron Man Hulkbuster armor, Thor, and then Spider-Man. And so I think Spider-Man killed it. I think we ended up stopping him from getting maybe two or three stones, and then it just went downhill from there. That scenario was so hard.
It's very difficult.
But there's like a stack, like probably like double the size of this, of the scenarios that you can play. Most of, like, probably 3/4 of them I don't know, because they have the very obscure ones, because they have obscure heroes.
Yeah.
Like I have the Broken Token like artist case that people use, that's full.
Yeah.
And now I bought a second one because I'm gonna start sleeving these cards and blow my brains out by the end of it because it's gonna be awful.
Yes.
But there's just so much. If you have a hero, it's probably in there, and that's my favorite part, because you pick 5,
Right.
and then you're like, hey, this is who we're gonna get, and you kind of have to stretch to make the theme work. Clearly, there's a winner for this, and I do not play that way because that's so dumb. It's the scenario, and you just try to complete the scenarios. The masterminds, there's so many of them. I'm just amazed they're still making expansions.
Yeah, they're
like
coming out with
the
stuff.
best big box one is probably
Big box.
yeah. World War Hulk is really cool. I like the transition, and they're still coming out with new rules, new mechanics for each box, which is really neat. The World War Hulk one was awesome.
It was awesome, yes.
Mainly because I know a little bit about that comic. So
There's 2, not including that one, because that one would probably be 3. I would say the Dark City,
okay.
because I'm a X-Force.
Oh, okay.
Punisher, all that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
why I like that one so
Okay.
much. And then the Civil War. Only because
of the
Civil War adding the split cards.
The split cards, yeah.
That
was a really cool
It was a
one.
really neat deal that they threw in there. The Secret Wars ones are just.
I have 2 of those. And I have no idea what's going on. Like I was looking through them and I'm like, no clue
Yeah.
what's happening.
But yeah, it's wonderful. The villains.
Yeah, I haven't been too keen on trying to get that.
Yeah, it's cool because you could really fuck around with stuff and
Yeah.
put, because it has Professor X and Iron Man stuff as bad guys.
Oh, see, I thought it was the villains that you get to play as.
Well, it is, but, but the masterminds are like Iron Man and
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Professor X and stuff. But then you can mix them all. I mean, you could have Magneto, Wolverine, Spider-Man, all them going against Professor X.
You can have Professor X as a mastermind and also Professor X as a
and then throw these into Marvel into
Alien.
into Legendary Alien.
It's definitely my favorite Legendary game. So now it's on the list at 92.
Yeah, it might be on mine.
I'd be surprised if it at least wasn't.
It's not. We'll get to that later. My number 92 is another deck builder. It was 58 2 years ago. It was 55 last year. So it dropped 37.
Okay.
And that's just because I haven't played it a whole lot, because it's a it's a campaign kind of deck builder. It's Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those. I mean, it's not like a legacy where you tear stuff up, so you can play right back through it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just once we played through the story. I haven't actually beat all the expansion for it yet, but
they did make an expansion, didn't they?
Yes, and it's hard as hell. Like me and my para, because she's the Harry Potter. No, I'm not really that big of a Harry Potter fan, but I like deck builders. It's just brutal, that expansion.
That's interesting.
But this is really cool because you pick one of the main characters, and you inside there's boxes. There's book 1 box, book 2, all the way up through, and you'll open up book 1 and it'll tell you the special rules, how to set up the game. It'll have your bad guys. It'll have all that stuff. And once you go through and beat book 1, then you reset your deck.
Yep.
You know, do book 2. It gives you stuff that may throw dice.
Stuff doesn't carry from book to book?
Well, no, your deck doesn't. Your deck goes back down.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because you'd be way too overpowered if
I
you
guess.
got that, because your deck gets pretty
gross.
up, you know. But then and then as you get to certain parts, then you start off with your character card has the little ones, and like book 1, like little Harry and little Hermione on it. But then like once you get to like book 3 or 4, you get a new character card, and their abilities a little ramped up, but they're like the teenage version of them and stuff. And once you get to the very last book, and you're fighting a stack of guys, you know, it's just, it gets pretty rough. And you're trying to do the Horcrux stuff and all that. It really does a good job of doing the books.
Yeah. Or the movies, because it's movie art.
It is movie art, yes. So yeah, I guess that's true. But I don't know how to say the spells. That was one thing that was funny. That my parrot kept laughing.
Is it Avada Kedavra?
But
wow.
Yeah. But it's a really good deck builder. I mean, you know, and it's thematic because you're doing, you know, you feel like you're doing the deal, because their scenarios for each of those books is actually like playing through the movie. I mean, you're doing stuff to prevent stuff and schemes and everything. So it's really neat. You know? It has pewter pieces in it and stuff too, little pewter skulls and
you're
stuff
right.
in it. It's USAopoly, or the OP now.
Did they change their name?
It's not USAopoly anymore. They're called the OP.
Okay. Weird. I didn't know they changed
noticed that
brand.
at Origins is when I noticed, because I was like, what is the OP? And I went and talked to him, and it was like, that's their new.
It used to be USAopoly.
It's like,
I guess because they're not doing.
It's not like Cool Mini or not. It's not Simon. It's come on now. You have to pronounce it. Come on.
Come on. We're about to go do another Kickstarter for a half-assed game.
Yeah. So anyway, Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle, 92.
Neat. And the last one for this list is new to the list. This is the last new one for this segment. And this is the best one of the Forbidden series, Forbidden Sky. Did you play Forbidden Sky? I can't remember if you did or not.
No. I can't. I can't.
It's so good.
It just looks so horrible.
But it's not
looks horrible.
Oh, like art wise.
Yeah. It just
nice.
Doesn't look like Forbidden Desert. I think just so.
Forbidden Desert is 122.
Really?
Yeah. So it did not.
I don't even know where.
Did not make the list. So Forbidden Sky, I think it's better than Forbidden Desert because there's more strategy and there's more. I mean, it's still random based off your the decks that's flipping over, and you actually have. Well, in the other one, you had the heat of the desert, where you had the water to manage.
Sandstorms.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
In Forbidden Sky, you have like damage, like that can actually hit you from lightning bolts, and also you can be knocked off the wind. So you have a rope, like a tether, that you have to manage. So there's multiple ways that you can actually lose the game. But I feel like this one, because you're placing tiles and you're trying to orient in such a way, and then you're using the tiles to place the rods and connect them to essentially like the lightning bolts. And once you get those connected, then you need to make the landing pad. And depending on your difficulty, you have to connect 2 smaller circles to 2 bigger circles to the big one. So you have to really be smart about how you're placing your tiles. And it's like, okay, so we got these all connected. We need to get to the landing pad. Then we need to get to the landing pad when the last one goes off. And the gimmick is the electronic, like metal boards or magnets.
Yeah, for the light bulb. And
for the ship. And when we played this the very first time, and we won. And once you placed that, it kicked off. It was delightful. It was just like,
so you said gimmick.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if that wasn't part of the game. Like what?
I would still like it because yes, yeah, it is a gimmick. And it's just aesthetically nice because you get to visually see and hear like something go off whenever you succeed, and I do love that part of it. But the actual tile placement, there's more to do than just hey, let's run around the desert and hope.
Yeah.
Like
And see, I don't think this one's done as well either.
You don't think so?
Like sell it, like.
Oh no! For some reason, like everyone likes Desert, and it's because it's more complicated.
Yeah, I think the other people, because Forbidden Island was such a beginner's game.
Yeah,
Forbidden Desert was
that good balance, and this one is probably more complicated and probably more difficult. And
I see that one on sale a lot more.
Yeah, it is unfortunate because I do think for me this one's better. Obviously, it's 91 versus 120 or something.
Yeah.
And we played and recorded both of them because I was like, well, let's give it a fair shot. And Forbidden Desert, I just felt like there wasn't as much going on as Forbidden Sky had.
My highest Forbidden game was at 147, Forbidden Desert.
Okay, and I've never played Forbidden Island, and based off of what I just explained, Forbidden Sky,
it's pretty decent.
I don't think I mean, it'd probably be okay, but that's my number 91, Forbidden Sky.
All right, my number 91 was 77 last year.
Okay,
and 80 before that. I don't see it ever not being on this list though.
All right,
because it's kind of my favorite hidden role. Game. It's kind of my go-to for big player numbers and stuff, and I don't think you've played it yet. You really need to because it's a blast. Is Shadowhunters.
No, I've not played that.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's out of print right now. I don't even know if they're bringing it back, but it's kind of got like a what do they call it? Anime-ish kind of art style
the hentai
yeah,
art
it's like
stuff.
a dark. Maybe hentai, yeah.
It's
whatever.
not hentai.
Whatever, I don't know.
It's anime porn.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know. But anyway, I don't do porn. You know. But anyway, so what you're doing is there's 3 classes in this,
God.
right? So depending on player count, we have hunters.
Yep.
There's monsters, and then there's neutral. So depending on the player count, we'll decide how many of each there are. The hunters want to obviously kill the monsters, the monsters want to kill the hunters, and the neutrals have a special oddball ability to win.
You did tell me about this one.
The board is like this big spiral.
Okay.
And that's for hit points. Everybody will start at the max hit points.
Yep.
And then everybody starts at 0 because the hit point meter goes up from 0 instead, because what happens is there's cards, and the first letter of there may be 2 people with J.
Okay.
Because there's 2 versions of each one. So you don't know who anybody is. You'll have a D4 dice and a D6 dice, so we'll be rolling. But there's like places out in the center. There's like a cemetery, a church, like a hut with a crone or something. There's different places out there. So you're moving around in those spaces, and then you're doing an ability. If you go to like the cemetery, you get these dark cemetery cards. You get church, you get these church cards that may be like items or events, stuff you can play. If you go to like the crone, she's not called the crone, but there's these green cards that you get, and it has a weird thing on it, like you give it to another player, and it may say, you are a monster. If you're a monster, take a hit point or lose a hit point.
Gotcha.
So then you give it to them that nobody else sees the card, and if they may lose a hit point, then you're like, okay, so they're a monster.
Yeah.
They don't know what you are.
Yeah.
Because and you're playing that way, and you kind of start figuring out who people are, because as people get up to their hit points, if they go past their deal, they're dead.
Oh, I see.
And then you're trying to be, like I said, hunters want all the monsters dead. That's how they win. Vice versa.
That's interesting.
And then but they flip, like I said, there's 2 versions of each, so you don't know which ones, because they randomly go out. What will happen though is there's guns and weapons, so you can attack people from one, and even if you're in the same location, or guns. So kind of like Bang, you're shooting people. If you find out who they are, you're trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Now what brings this into craziness is the neutral characters.
Okay.
There's neutral characters. If you're the first one to die, guess what?
You win.
At the end of the game, there's a lot of shared victories in this game.
I see.
Like you will win along with.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Or whatever. You cannot lie. So when you get those Village Crone cards, and they ask you to deal, you can't lie unless there's this one neutral character called the it's like a ghost thing. I can't remember. The Unknown, I think, is what it's called, and it can lie.
Okay.
So it can really fuck everything up.
Game up.
You know, okay. But it's really cool. I mean, for as simple as a game as it is, everything it's awesome.
I guess it would. Did you say hidden movement?
Not hidden movement. Hidden roll.
Okay.
So if I said hidden movement,
I was like, is there a board?
No. It's hidden.
Okay.
Hidden roll.
Okay. Yeah, I don't play a lot of hidden roll games. The way you're kind of saying it was reminding me of a game that I ended up not really caring for called Redacted, which was similar in that you were a spy and no one knew. You knew who you were, obviously, but you didn't know who anyone else was. So you're like moving around trying to figure out, because each side had a goal in the game too, similar to exactly what you're saying. But it sounds like this, because there were a lot of spaces on the Redacted board that didn't do shit.
Yeah, this has like 6 spaces.
Yeah,
you can do something in every space.
Yeah, so this one sounds like, because I like the idea of knowing, like kind of like the Spyfall mentality. That's always interesting. So
the cool thing is if you're a monster, you can everyone, good and hunter and monster, you can choose at some point to flip your card. And reveal yourself. Really? And if you reveal yourself, you have this uber powerful ability.
Okay, I was about to go, why would you do that?
So, like, if you're the werewolf, you flip out, and then he gets a free counterattack if he gets attacked.
Oh, neat.
And stuff like that. Or, it's just... Yeah. It's really cool. It's worth... It doesn't get any buzz. It was one of the first games I bought in my collection. Because Tom Vassell was talking about it several years ago.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, it's out of print now, but it's a really cool game. I wouldn't play it with anything less than
5.
I'd say you could play it with 4, because then it'd be probably, I think it's hunter, monster, neutral. I think, but the more the better. It plays up to 8 or 9.
Yeah,
I think 8, but it's a wonderful game.
Awesome. So that's it, everyone. That is the first segment for our top 100. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. Stick around for the rest of the 100. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.